Hello, beautiful people. Well, I don't know how many of you are beautiful, but I'm sure some of you that watch these crazy videos are beautiful. Just a quick upload on a little project I'm going to start. If you go back to last year, this is the idiot light cluster that normally sits in a speedometer housing, which mounts onto the risers, or the riser clamp. On this model Sportster, the housing sat over here by the tank, and since I raised the tank, it would have been in the way, so I got rid of the speedometer in the housing because I really don't need to know how fast or slow I'm going. But it left me with this instrument cluster here. So last year, just so I could ride, I had this double-sided tape. I put some double-sided tape on this, I should say, and just kind of stuck it on here like that. And it looked like shit, but it served the purpose. So I tried to look for an aftermarket part that would fit that, and they make a bunch of them, but none that fit this type. A lot of the other Sportsters, the Nightster, the 72, the 48, their light cluster is longer and narrower, and it seems like everything that everybody makes aftermarket fits those, but not this one. Of course, that's my luck. So what I found today was this in a local motorcycle shop. This is obviously made for a Speedo and some idiot lights. There's a couple issues with this, and actually it mounts right here. It mounts in here like that. But there's a couple of issues with this. One, I don't have a Speedo well, I have a Speedo, but I'm not using a speedometer. Number two, this cutout is for a much smaller speedometer than what my stock one is. It's much bigger, wouldn't fit. And the other issue is I have 6 lights that I need holes for. This only has 4. So none of that's a real big deal, because what I'm going to do is I kind of drew some temporary lines here. I'm going to get the grinder out. I'm going to cut this down here and up there, and I'll try and make it look nice. Then I'll drill a couple of holes, one here and one here. And I was able to find these really cool lights. Let me see. I thought I had this open. It's not. I have it. Yeah. So these are, what I was looking for is just plain LEDs, but these are actually, let's see, hang on. Okay, I was looking for, I thought I had an extra 12-volt battery here, but I don't. So anyway, these LEDs will fit in here in these holes, and I'll drill 2 extra holes. And what I'll do is I'll cut this, like I said, make it look nice. I will dig out my powder coating kit. I'll powder coat it black. And so what I'll be left with basically is this right here. These LEDs that I got are pretty cool. They're not just colored LEDs. They actually have, maybe you can see right there, they have the little, there's the oil light. The turn signals have arrows. You know, so they have all the little indicators on these LEDs, which is pretty cool. So then they just fit right in the holes here, like so, and they'll push down. Nice. I don't want to push them in too hard because I have to cut this thing, but that's how they'll go in. And that's it. So little side project. The shitty part is I have to go digging through all these goddamn boxes in this shithole garage and find my grinder and find my powder coating kit and all that shit. But that's alright. No big deal. It's supposed to be warmer this weekend, so maybe I'll get this weekend and get started on it. So anyway, that's my solution to the idiot light cluster. The only thing is, I know when I do this, I'm going to have, you know, it comes with some shrink wrap for the back here, you know, to keep it dry. But I know I'm going to have all these wires hanging down, and I'm going to have to try and dress it up a little bit and make it look nice. So anyway, there you go. I'm going to try and get these wires straightened out this weekend. That's it. So I'll keep you updated. See you. Bye. Okay, so here I am in the bowels of our basement. Again, this is just a house that we're temporarily renting. That's why everything is still in boxes. It's warmer down here, so I figured it's a better place to do some painting. I've decided to paint the bracket, not powder coat it, and here it is. So I used the grinder to cut off what was the end of the bracket, which is where our speedometer would go. Then I rounded off the edges here, sanded them off, got them nice and smooth. I drilled 2 holes on the ends, sanded those down, used the grinder again just to kind of grind off the burrs and the edges. Then I brought it down to a friend of mine down the road who has a sandblaster. It's got a nice cabinet. It took him over about 3 minutes to sandblast this and get it nice and clean for me. And I thought, rather than take it to a powder coater, which wouldn't be until today's Friday, which wouldn't be until Monday, and then wait a day or so for him to do it and hold everybody up, I figured I would just paint it. So I've got some primer. I've got some gloss black enamel paint, and it should take me all of about 10 minutes to give this thing a couple of coats. So there we are. So I'll paint that up tonight. Actually, right now, I'll get this ready to go, and I'll worry about mounting the lights in here probably next week. I have to have some surgery this week, so I'll be laid up for a little bit, and I think as the weather gets warmer in the next week or two, and I'm starting to feel better, I'll paint this and get back to you. I'll get back to you after it's finished. See how it looks. Okay, so here's my final update on my light cluster project. As I mentioned, I did have surgery a couple days ago, some minor surgery, but I was able to get this finished up before my surgery. I can't move the bike out of the garage because of my surgery, so I apologize for lack of a good camera view. But I had a bit of a change of my thinking when I was doing this. As I showed you last, I had the part sandblasted and ready to paint, and I had primed it. And after I primed it, I looked at this thing and I really thought, geez, you know, it would be easier if I could just have the front of this machined out rather than put all those LEDs in and have to wire and solder all those LEDs. So I took the bracket, after I finished it up, primed it, down to a local machine shop. He had it machined out for me in about an hour. He charged me $20 to machine it, which I thought was very fair, considering how quick he did it. I brought the bracket back here, and I had one issue. If you look at this riser clamp, these risers are stock risers for a lot of Harley models, but I got these off of somebody who had a Sportster 72. The riser clamp has this big lip in front of it, and there's no gap here. So these two ends here and here couldn't slide in here like they're supposed to do because of this lip. So what I ended up doing, obviously, was putting, as you can see, a spacer here. I got some longer screws for the clamps. I put a spacer here and then just screwed them down, so that worked out fine. In terms of the light cluster itself, as I said, I had this machined out, so this thing fit perfectly in here. It snaps right in. I put a little bit of watertight silicone around the inside of it to hold it in, and I think it fits and looks fine. This light right here is a low fuel indicator. At least I hope that's what it's going to be. What I did was I went into the Harley manual that I have for this bike, looked at the schematic drawing, and found out which 2 wires were used for low fuel. Now, the low fuel indicator is in this light cluster on the speedometer. You can see it plugs in back here. I don't run a speedometer on the bike, so these lights, I obviously don't have the use of any of these lights, but I would like to have a low fuel indicator because it's such a small tank, and being that the tank is lifted and kind of angles back, I do lose some fuel. Some fuel falls to the back and doesn't get isn't accessible to the injector. So this is a 2.1 gallon tank, and I get even less of that out of this tank because it's on an angle. So having a low fuel light is something that I've kind of missed, to be honest, because I'm always having to open this and just check the fuel, which isn't a big deal, but unless you're riding, then it is a big deal. So anyway, I went back and looked at the schematic. I found the low fuel LED light, and I just found, I ran the other wire here on the back of the LED to a ground. And I don't know if it works yet, because I have a full tank just about. Haven't had a chance to ride it much. So we'll find out if that works, but I think all in all it looks okay. Much better than having this stuck on the front with double-sided tape. I think it came out okay considering I'm a complete and total novice at most of this stuff, so you know, hey, it could be a lot worse. And like I said, nobody that I know of makes anything aftermarket for this particular light cluster. Everything that's made has the speedo bracket on it as well. So so there's my final project. There's the result of my project. And just to show you on the back here, what I did was obviously I had the back of this light cluster exposed, which had a plastic base on it anyway, or a plastic cover on it anyway, but I wrapped some shrink wrap and then some tape, or some, yeah, shrink wrap, I guess, and then some tape around it to keep it dry. Did the same here, put some on these LEDs. I ran them down underneath and just tucked them in straight under the tank there. And the other thing I did was I ran I can't get a good view here, I apologize, but I put these mini apes on, as you know, from one of my previous videos, and I was able to run the wires inside the bars as well. It's the first time I've ever done that. It was a little tricky, but you know, as you can see right here, they come out, you tie them up neatly and tuck them under the tank and they're fine. So I mean, that's basically it. You know, like I said, it looks a lot better than having that just stuck to the risers, and it wasn't really that hard to do. Just cutting that piece off and grinding it down and prime it, have the front machined out, paint it, and just find a way to secure it. It wasn't that difficult. So it was more difficult actually running the wires than it was doing this bracket here. So that's it. Hopefully I can get healed up here soon and get out riding, because I'm excited to actually be able to ride and not really have a project in hand. The last year when I rode, I had things that were kind of half done or not done completely as I was riding, which is kind of, I don't know, frustrating, because you always have those things in the back of your head while you're riding down the road. So, but now I think I'm all buttoned up and done. And that's it. So I'll post something at some point when I think I have something that's of any interest whatsoever to say. Otherwise, that's it. That's how I solved my idiot light problem. That's how the idiot solved the idiot light problem. Take care. See ya. Hey, I almost forgot. I didn't show it to you as a working project, a finished project. I could have just left it like the way it was, and you all would have been saying, does it even work? How do we know it works? There you go. It works. That's it. I'm done. I'm out. See ya.